What is the single most effective piece of mental health advice you've ever received? Leave work at work. I pride myself at yelling at work and never at home. I don't yell at coworkers, just the universe. I yell at random traffic, so I can be chill both at work and at home. I can never feel bad about hurting the feelings of someone who refuses to use their indicators. We all know what it feels like to run on empty, but many people don't know what a full battery feels like. This was one of the sayings in my first therapy session that has always stuck with me. It was refreshing to open up on things I bottled up, and to know that ultimately I needed time to heal. And what does it feel like? One of the most liberating things my therapist told me was that my coping mechanisms and outlook were perfectly reasonable given what I had gone through. They just weren't compatible with the life I wanted to live going forward. One of the worst parts of being a little crazy is knowing you're a little crazy. Being told that I wasn't, but simply had to unlearn some habits that I picked up from going through a hard time helped me be easier on myself. That honestly sounds like the most reasonable therapist I've ever heard of. You shouldn't burn yourself out for the sake of others. I love the slightly different version. Don't light yourself on fire to keep others warm. Yeah, that's the one. I just couldn't remember the exact wording. I light myself on fire to keep myself warm. 50% of the things you worry about will never happen, and the other 50% were going to happen anyway. Worry is a misuse of your imagination. The most effective advice I heard about worry is that worry is unfinished planning. If you are still worrying about something, you haven't accepted all the outcomes. Even if an outcome is I will die. Sometimes it hurts far less to walk away than it does to stay. This is for relationships, jobs, friendships, anything really. Don't argue with fools, because from a distance people can't tell who is who. The only thing I can't do is stick my elbow in my ear. My mom used to tell me this as a little kid, and it has always stuck with me. I remind myself of it anytime I'm faced with a tough task or difficult choice. Even when I'm afraid of trying something new, I use this mantra. I have a bunch more I use to deal with life. I use self-talk 100 times a day. It really helps me calm things down and focus on what is important. I would add that if you are going to fail, it's better to fail fast, because now you have more time to do something else. If you're gonna kill yourself because of someone else, they aren't worth it. They likely aren't even second guessing what they did, nor are they thinking about you. It's hard, and it hurts, but sometimes you just gotta move on. Myself to myself. About 3 days ago. Thanks for sharing this. I'm literally in the same situation. Tried twice. Gladly it failed. Now looking back how miserable I was for that person leaving me, I just laugh and think of the heavy burden and stress she took away from me of being with her. I just couldn't end things. Gladly she did it. Sometimes you need to cut people out of your life that are toxic. This could include family members. That's what I'm going through RN, and so far no more chaos. They don't like when you lay out boundaries. If you don't take care of yourself, no one else will. Apostrophe. Taking care of yourself is also a vital step in taking care of others. If you take time for yourself, others will need to get by without you, or at least wait a bit. But you can plan this for convenient times. If you collapse, you won't be able to be there for them, and you also won't be able to control when it happens. My friend told me that if I don't get out of my comfort zone I'll never improve. Piss me right off. But my life has been infinitely better since. What thing did you do that made you get out of the comfort zone? Weight loss is what started it all. My friend was making me run with him to boost cardio. I felt like I was pushing myself. He did not. While I was stopping to catch my breath. That's when he said it. I can still feel the anger that came over me. I was a bit offended. But like, he was right. Since then, I consistently push that comfort zone. Moving to a new city for a girl I met in school. Leaving a good job I had for a decade. Simply to see if the grass is any greener. It isn't always. But how would you know unless you tried? I've found some pretty damn fine looking grass. Took some time. But if I found some, others can too is my belief. Your feelings of shame will increase exponentially if you isolate yourself, which will exponentially increase your desire for isolation. Find someone to talk to as if your life depended on it, because it does. Thank you. I needed this one. I think I needed this 18 years ago, but now is also a good time to learn it. Don't take life too serious. No one gets out alive anyways. I used to be a very serious person and was totally miserable. I think there's a thought that people won't respect you if you're not serious, or won't take you seriously if you're not stoic and stone-faced. Thing is, there's a time for that, and there's a time to have fun. I start every 1x1 with my team asking them about their weekend, telling some jokes, etc., because being unserious is fun and develops trust. Then we get into details and project planning. But I can't imagine my team enjoying their jobs nearly as much without it. There is no point worrying about things you have no control over, because there is nothing you can do about them. Focus on what you can change. But how do you know that you've correctly identified the things you have no control over compared with you not putting enough effort? Cut out as much social media / advertising as possible. How are we to cut out advertising when advertising literally pervades every aspect of our lives? From SiriusXM's obnoxious pestering tactics to the ads that play on gas station screens, to bright as F-LED billboards that genius planners plant on the corners of busy intersections. How exactly do we cut out something that we have no control over? Get off the apps. How's that going for you? It's going. The lack of BS is kind of nice. Thank goodness Reddit is an OBS app /s. 2016 me / it is what it is / 2023 me / it is a canon event. I like the drive. Who it's a fixed point in time explanation. Even if the rules get wibbly wobbly depending on who the showrunner / writer is. Best thing to do to help your mental health is to not associate with people who are bad for it. Which is more complicated than it sounds. It doesn't mean getting rid of people who make you feel bad for calling you on your BS. It means getting rid of those who lie to, use, hurt or manipulate you. Those who are a bad influence on you. And those who enable or encourage your bad behaviors. Regardless of how much they mean to you. It's going to hurt at first. Breaking bonds always does. But it's so much easier to get healthy when you stop drinking poison. The opposite is also true. Spend more time with people who are a good influence on you, who share your ideals and goals, who lift you up when you didn't even know that's what you needed. Then make sure to reciprocate. You're not responsible with what other people in your life are doing. Secrets keep you sick. When I heard that the first time, I couldn't believe how accurate that really was. To this day I still believe that to be 100% true. Nah bro, I'm not telling family that I have a shitload of money. That's just gonna open a can of anacondas. The cognitive behavioral therapy tool for getting out of a spiral of catastrophization. Can you elaborate? You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus, Stoicism. How can I train my mind not to be affected by things going on in the surroundings? To add to you /help Nikes 31. Reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Any translations will help. Anger is never really about anger. It is always another emotion. At 54 I'm really just now beginning to understand this. I wish I had learned 40 years ago. I sat next to anger when it told me its real name was sadness. Sadness, betrayal, shock. Those were my big three. It took me years to realize they had put on the face of anger. It was ages before I could see through that mask and deal with the real emotion. My heart breaks for you and rejoices for you at the same time. I'm so happy that you have also found this realization. Thank you for sharing your experience. I think the most important lesson that I learned is the idea that it's okay to be not okay, and that health is more of a process than a state. It will always be a part of your life and it's not a problem to be solved and then forgotten about. Build strategies to improve it and manage it day by day. Do the best you can with what is available to you. If the good times didn't last, the bad won't either. Often expressed with the foreword, this too shall pass. Don't try to do everything at once and take a ref break. Might not be as profound as some, but it's in relation to how our foods and what we consume has an effect on mental health. It's so obvious that not getting the right nutrition is clearly going to have cognitive effects. Couple good eating with exercise, and I found it a lot less difficult to deal with day-to-day life. Eat well, feel well, eat crap, feel like crap. Everyone has invasive thoughts. Apostrophe. True. But how do I deal with them? You don't deal with them. Don't beat yourself up for having them. And don't try to stop yourself from having them. They happen. You notice. They float away like a cloud. NBD. I heard someone talk about advice they got as a frikik from one of their co-workers. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The world will not end if you don't get the food out to them a little late. You're gonna get yelled at. That's possible. But that's about it. And it doesn't really matter that you get yelled at. You will get through in the grand scheme of things. One person being upset that their steak is medium and not medium rare doesn't really matter. I had a friend who said something along these lines, but in a more broad sense about life in general, that none of it matters. In the grand scheme of the universe, most things people worry about are trivial and don't actually matter. It's okay to walk out of an overwhelming situation. Regarding anxiety attacks in my case, you don't need to share or owe an explanation to others, and no one will notice anyways. And hey, some fresh air and quiet can work wonders. The brain works different for everybody else. But watch out that you're not training your brain to feel like the only way to escape anxiety is to go back to your comfort zone. It can narrow your horizons